So I was going to film this video on Super Tuesday, and I started filming this video on Super Tuesday, and then I was like, no, for reasons and timing and stuff, I think I'm gonna do it the next day, and the next day didn't work out, and now we're here, and life is rough. See, and if you follow me on Twitter, you know that I stan Bernie Sanders. I am what I refer to as a left libertarian, which means that I don't trust the government or big businesses. I think both are trying to kill us. Hierarchy is usually bad and unjustified, and the very way that we structure everything and do everything should be reevaluated. And Bernie Sanders isn't going to do most of that, but he'd do more of it than some of the other people and be more sensible, you know, I think. And like 6 years ago, almost to this day, NASA came out with a study saying that civilization as we know it was going to deteriorate due to climate change and income inequality, and we haven't done anything to fix any of that. So things are going great here. I mean, I know that like it's not necessarily over, Bernie could still win, but the media is not saying that, and so the normies aren't going to hear that. And every American should have a copy of this book right here, that one. Hey, me immediately after filming this video and rewatching it while not moving, or you can watch the movie. There's a movie of the book Manufacturing Consent. It's on YouTube. It's free. Go watch it. So in 2008, like this year, it was an election year. And also a Summer Olympics year, because those are in a leap year. Those are all the same thing. So DC Comics was like, you know, it would be so smart and like hashtag relatable if, you know, as the people are voting, the super people vote. So they made a story where there's a primary going on, and there's a far-right Republican, a moderate Democrat, and a far-left Democrat, and they're all running for president in the primaries, and the superheroes decide that they're going to endorse candidates. And it is a dumpster fire of... like, okay, let's read it. Okay, so the first cover of the first issue has Green Arrow endorsing a guy called Davis Brewster, and it says liberally, which is really funny. Okay, so there's this website called adherence.com or something, I don't know. And it's usually kind of interesting. They do all of the superheroes, like what their religious beliefs are. But on Green Arrow's page, it calls him a, quote, liberal Marxist communist, and I'm in pain. I don't think those words mean what you think they mean. Liberal and Marxist communist don't go together. So I'm pretty sure by this point, Green Arrow had been established as being a Bernie bro. So like I said, that website called him a liberal Marxist communist. Ollie's like a social democrat, maybe a democratic socialist. I use quote fingers so much. So first of all, Green Arrow, Oliver Queen, he's a Bernie bro. Okay, so we start out with Batman and Superman are talking about this one lady, Kate McClellan. She is the moderate Republican running for president. For some reason, Cliff Steele is hanging out at this rally for this moderate Republican, which he dated crazy Antifa Jane. So, does this look like a Republican to you? All of the Doom Patrol are anarcho-communists, and we know this because Danny the Street is an anarcho-communist utopia. You can't change my mind. Except for the chief. The chief, fun fact, is a tanky. So even though Cliff, like, you know, shielded the people from the bomb, a crap load of them died. This universe is so dangerous. Like, bruh. So they send the Green Boys after it. Green Arrow, who, as we know, is a Bernie bro, and Green Lantern. This Green Lantern is Hal Jordan, but other Green Lanterns make appearances. But Hal Jordan is a Republican. They discover that whoever tried to kill her, the moderate Republican, is trying to kill all of the candidates. So Superman calls like a little meeting, and he's like, okay, all of the US presidential candidates are, you know, might like be attacked and die, so we're all gonna have to help them out. And then Green Arrow is like, I am not saving a Republican. Green Arrow is like, okay, but like, can I go to the Bernie rallies because Killer Mike is there and I'd rather hear him talk than like Mitt Romney or whoever. So they all decided they're gonna do security for the person who they want to be president. So Davis Brewster, he's like your Bernie Sanders type. He's really mean. Like, okay, this definitely has a very conservative bias because the conservative guy running for president, the far right guy, is very like, oh, I just believe in Americans and America and freedom and fighting for opportunity and fighting for freedom. And then the guy who's running on the more progressive campaign is like, hey, you stupid person who works for me, get me an exclusive thingy blah 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 with Green Arrow. Like, he's mean. Bernie Bro Ollie is dressed up as Green Arrow, and he's at the Bernie type of guy's, headquarters. And this lady's like, oh, so is this an endorsement? But he gets distracted because there is a bomb, and it is on one of the guys who's like close to the guy running for president. But this guy does not know what's going on. Also, Ollie stops the bomb with an ice arrow, which, like, I guess if the innards of the bomb aren't like insulated, they could freeze and not mix and kaboom. But because if the bomb could, then it could still, that could break ice, right? So how does this work exactly? This one lady snags an exclusive with Ollie. She says that Davis Brewster, the guy who Ollie was at his office, was described by his detractors as a radical left-wing nut. And Ollie's just kind of like, hell yeah, threaten me with a good time. And she's like, oh, is that an endorsement? And he's like, And then Lois Lane goes to her husband. And this is really painful. So her and Clark apparently don't talk about politics, even though they work for the Daily Planet, which is a newspaper. Like, is the Daily Planet not endorsing any candidates? You don't have to do what the New York Times did. You can just endorse one. But Clark apparently never tells her who he votes for. And she says, you always know who I vote for. What can I say? I'm a product of my upbringing. I'm proudly for a strong military, small government, low taxes, and maximum individual freedom. Please say psych. Okay, let's try to unpack this. Strong military. So Lois's dad is like a high up something or other in the military. He's also the bad guy. Duh. There's stories where he is the bad guy and he is trying to stop her husband, Superman, for being like an alien and not owned by the government. So she doesn't want a strong military. Like, her dad at points is estranged from her, in part because of his actions with the military against her husband. Bruh! And Clark is just like, nope, I'm not telling. Oh my god. I need to reread Greg Rucka's Lois Lane as a palate cleanser, I think. But everything else will fall down because, it's like dominoes back here, so. Clark ditches his wife to go hang out with Bruce because this version of Lois sucks. Perry White sends Lois Lane off to deal with Superhero Gate, Endorsement Gate. It becomes a big deal because I guess superheroes have a lot of social capital, and social capital is the currency in the marketplace of ideas or whatever Peter Coffin says. So it's like a big deal. Okay, so one of Brewster's guys takes Green Arrow up to the roof and like pitches him, you gotta formally endorse him. And Green Arrow's just like, okay, next issue. Oh my god, this first page is already too much. So it says that when John Adams took over as president for George Washington, it was the first time in recorded human history that a great nation transferred power to a non-familial relation without battle or bloodshed. That awkward moment when you want America to be so exceptional that you forget that the Roman Republic existed. Also, I sent this to Queer POTUS, who's here on YouTube and does really good history content. I sent it to him on Twitter, and he said, John Adams looks like a Chad. And oh my god. The other stuff gives off this implication that, things are so complicated nowadays. They used to be civil, because that's some idea that we have that is so wrong. So Thomas Jefferson's camp said that John Adams was like a hermaphrodite or hermaphroditic, which is a bad insult anyway, but like, you know, back then that was like, you know, oh, scandalous. So in response, John Adams said, yeah, well, Thomas Jefferson's dead. So civil. Anyway, speaking of civility, the boys are fighting. The green boys are fighting. Hal and Ollie are swearing at each other. Ollie, like, calls him out. He's like, yeah, helping people on a human level is the best way to serve them, but you wouldn't understand that, you big space cop and your army of intergalactic Gestapo. He calls all the Green Lanterns Nazis. And he calls them cops. So they fight, which, yeah, they act so like, oh, normally, even though you have your political differences, you're best of friends. But, like, Ollie must really be a liberal, because I don't know any, like, democratic socialists who are friends with Republicans. Black Canary breaks it up, unfortunately. Let them fight. The endorsements are just getting started. Guy Gardner endorses the most right-wing candidate, Bob Ridgway. He also calls Green Arrow a pinko. Okay, so we have a bunch of people here. Honestly, I don't know who most of them are. This lady is voting for Kate McClellan. I can't tell who that is either, but Brewster, hell yeah. Power Girl wants the Republican Bob Ridgway. Power Girl in her unnecessary boob window. I guess this is Beast Boy? Doom Patrol? Is this Doom Patrol Beast Boy? He looks horrible. And he wants Suarez, who is the moderate Democrat. Wildcat wants Gary Ridgway. No, Bob Ridgway. Plastic Man is inappropriate. Hawkman wants Bob Ridgway. Also at this Ridgway guys thing is Zatanna. I don't know if she endorses him, but she is at his campaign event. And they see a person who they think it is, but it turns out that it's now one of those security guys. The candidate is safe, but one of his Secret Service guys gets shot. So after all this happens, they're like, oh my god, we need to get Batman here. But Batman's gonna be late because Bruce Wayne is endorsing Martin Suarez, who is the, I guess, moderate Democrat. You know what? Hot take, I think this checks out. I think that Bruce Wayne is a limousine liberal. Okay, because people are like, oh, Bruce Wayne would be a Republican. No, okay, but listen. Bruce doesn't like guns. Bruce doesn't want them on the street. Bruce wants his gay relatives to get married. But Bruce, like, you know, maybe you can raise his taxes a little, but like, come on. But Bruce isn't like a conservative Republican. I mean, I guess it very much depends on which Bruce Wayne you're talking about. Like, the movies, I can definitely see in a lot of the more, like, fashy things, you know, especially with George W. Batman or Batfleck. They were very, very, like, yeah, I can see that argument. I think that Bruce Wayne is a limousine liberal. I think he would go for, like, the moderate Democrat. I know that the progressive Batman fans probably won't be super happy about that either, though, because I know that we can be very, like, no, Bruce is, like, the mythical good billionaire. He gave all of his money away to Bernie Sanders and guillotined himself. But while the news is talking about all the superhero endorsements, they also mentioned Bruce Wayne's. They say he was probably jealous of all the attention they were getting and wanted to usurp the spotlight. And all I'm thinking is, what a simpler time where if you wanted to usurp the spotlight, you would endorse a candidate and not just make yourself a candidate. If you're a billionaire, can you imagine? Can you imagine that? If billionaires didn't just run for president because they wanted attention and power? Can you imagine? Oh god, okay. Remember the Lois Lane one? It gets worse. So not only is Lois Lane a Republican, but Wonder Woman takes a meeting with Ridgway, the far-right guy. The stuff this guy's saying. Stand up for the issues we both share in common. A strong military that fights for freedom throughout the world. Wonder Woman says she's read his position papers, so I guess she's read through his policy, and though we may be in agreement on what? And he's like, we aren't a nation of warriors. We're other things first. But when we're called to duty, We step up no matter how soft we might seem. That's the America you should know and love like I do. We're hesitant to go to war. Doubt. But a terrible adversary and steadfast ally once we do. And then always compassionate to those we defeat. Citation needed. Compassion is airstriking a hospital. You know who we should defeat? Climate change. Because it's definitely coming and gonna kill all of us. And she's just like, yep, I can't formally endorse you, but heck yeah, I'm in agreement. And she doesn't endorse him, but she takes this picture with him. Like, Diana, this is, in what world? Like, okay, I can see Wonder Woman falling for kind of a bit of the, like, imperialistic, like, oh, you're helping people, you know, type of thing that we do. But there's enough social issues that she would be vehemently against when it comes to the Republicans. Abortion and birth control access, Planned Parenthood existing, gay rights, she's probably down for that kind of stuff. She's bi. Yeah, and I forgot that 2008, gay marriage was not yet legal, and that was like a huge issue still happening, and none of them talk about it here. Interesting. You know what? I see Wonder Woman in this race. She would have stand Tulsi Gabbard, hot take, and the election would look very different. Okay, so now it's Suarez. Superman finds the bomb, and he knows who did it, but he can't say so here because there's people around, and one of those people is his wife, Lois Lane, asking him to endorse somebody, and he's like, Lois, I just had to stop a bomb. I kind of have bigger things to deal with right now, honey. So then Wally West is Flash now, says, hey, you know who I'm gonna endorse? The Bomber. How do you like that? And they like it a lot because he's on the cover of all of the newspapers. So the two Green Boys are finally in agreement about something that the media sucks. You win today, horseshoe theory. Okay, so they're trying to figure out who did the bombings, and the squad is like, hey, whoever's doing it is possessing them, but can't possess them when they die. So another thing about this this story is that I feel like the people who endorse Democrats don't so much know what they're doing, but everybody who endorses the far right, who endorses Ridgeway, everybody who endorses Ridgeway knows what they're doing. Blue Beetle is like, Martin Suarez or Brewster, whoever wants the universal health care. Apparently it's Suarez, which is weird because Suarez was supposed to be the moderate Democrat. I don't know. This ideology doesn't make sense at all. Old Flash wants Kate McClellan. Beast Boy, I guess, is here again, saying Suarez, but who else is running? And Wally's just like, oh my god, I don't want the Bomber to be president. So, yeah, this is Lady Blackhawk and Huntress, who are two birds of prey, out doing birds of prey stuff. Because Dinah is busy stopping the Green Boys from killing each other, I guess. So Lady Blackhawk, Zinda, likes Brewster, and she says something really cool. Huntress is like, you don't want Kate McClellan? And she's like, you mean support the sisterhood, gender solidarity, and all that? My vote's too important to waste on an it's our time symbolic gesture. We aren't electing a role model, we're electing a national leader. And believe me, Davis Brewster is the leader we need right now. Period. Which actually makes a lot of sense because Zinda, I'm pretty sure, is from like the 40s and then just kind of zapped into modern day. And in that case, like, yeah, she probably would be like a New Deal Democrat and would want the, you know, like she'd like Bernie Sanders. Then Huntress steals her words to promote a Republican. Great job, Huntress. Love that. Zinda and Barbara Gordon are chatting, and Barbara Gordon doesn't say who she wants to vote for, but, like, let's be real. Barbara Gordon's a progressive, right? She's disabled. She is a librarian. That's socialist. In the news stories, like, all of her friends are, like, LGBTQ people of color. The only white guys she hangs out with are the Bat Boys, basically. And with Batman, they're still very like, oh no, he just, endorsed this one guy to spy on him. But like, part of being Bruce Wayne and endorsing him is like, he would give him a lot of money. You'd want to pick the person who you believe in to do that for. So Lois is super pissed off at Clark because this version of Lois sucks, and she's like, you were like flippant when I asked you who you were gonna endorse, and he was like, yeah, because it wasn't the time, but it's fine, I forgive you. And she's like, what, you forgive me? And it's all very like, haha, bitches be crazy. Okay, so they're at Davis Brewster's rally. Looks pretty packed, like, you know, when Bernie packed the Tacoma Dome.
ask you how you are. You don't just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it.
It's also voting day in Wisconsin, which there are definitely states that vote before Wisconsin, so I don't know. Basically everybody's here, and Superman starts talking to Lois, which is apparently part of a distraction, but then he thinks he finds the person and tries to tackle them, and blah, 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 and the whole thing, they all get fighting, and whoever is doing the possession keeps possessing other people, and then starts to possess Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, and Oliver realizes that Batman was right. The killer is Jericho. Sorry, I know it's supposed to be like, the killer is Jericho, but I totally read it like, the killer is Jericho. Okay, last issue. We're almost done here. So Jericho has possessed Hal Jordan. Jericho can kind of hop around between people. So they're all fighting, blah, blah. And then what stops him? What saves the day? Hal Jordan just has so much willpower that he kicks him out. Really, it's very anticlimactic. So they get Mento in. Love all of these Doom Patrol appearances. Jericho has taken a piece of every personality from every body he's been in and has internalized them. So basically they're doing the haha split personalities. He's evil and he just wants to kill all of them because he wants to be a real good murderer. It's almost like they're trying to go for a mental illness. I don't know. I don't like it. So Superman, you know, does a press conference now that everything's dealt with, and he tells everybody everything's dealt with, and he gives this moving monologue. Who do I want for president? I want somebody, but again, I'm not telling. Hee. Shh. He thinks it would be unconscionable. Again, I mean, there probably is something to the whole, like, tension places the currency in the market capital of ideas. Again, whatever Peter Coffin goes on about, you know, that might apply here. You know, who's to say that they aren't paying any of these superheroes, or, you know, anybody's gonna get special treatment because of a superhero connection or anything like that. And whoever gets it, he's gonna support them, which, like, I understand saying that and that being a nice sentiment, but I feel like with that comes this idea that our president is infallible. We have to get behind that president. Like, and no, that's so not the truth. The president is just a person. And if the president is doing unjust things just like any other person, we should hold them accountable for that. This is just so painful to read with hindsight, which is 2020. So whoever the president is, president can rely on me and on all of us superheroes, and we're all gonna get along the day after the election, and it's fine however many people die from our bad policies. We answer to no one, therefore we do not govern. We are heroes and we serve. I mean, like, that's kind of, I get it, but like, the government can, and I think very frequently does, do injustices, and I get that they can't just have Superman go, like, totally Antifa, because I guess it's not the 30s or 40s anymore, but, you know, Superman started pretty Antifa. The privilege of choosing who will lead you is, I believe, a sacred right, one that should remain forever unmolested. Weird use of that word, but okay, Superman. So Superman and Lois are voting. He's still not telling her who he votes for. I couldn't have a relationship and not know. I'm sorry. Maybe that's, like, shallow or whatever, but, like, no. And they're news people. They're supposed to be news people. They're supposed to be the people in that book doing the consent manufacturing, and they don't talk about politics? No, dude, nuh-uh, don't doubt. The rest of the issue is just Lois harassing him, like, please tell me who you're voting for, and he doesn't. And then they get ice cream or whatever, and yay democracy, go vote. I think that there's definitely some bias coming through in this, and that's, I mean, that I get it, like, everything's gonna, I mean, this has bias. It's the first issue of the Greg Rucka Lois Don't. It's the first issue. Oh my god, I can't talk. It's the first issue of Greg Rucka's Lois Lane series, which has been pretty good from what I've read so far. Lois Lane has a computer sticker that says, "This machine kills fascists and I want to be her when I grow up." Although I'm sure Noam Chomsky would have some words about that, like how the Daily Planet is actually owned by Bruce Wayne, and, you know, he's a billionaire. where do his interests lie? And the newspaper's interests are gonna be connected to Bruce Wayne's interests. And you really need to look at the power dynamics at play here. That was my Chomsky impression. I just realized I'm filming this without a microphone. I hope you can hear me. I'm gonna try to do, I think, like a DC related, more commentary style vid once a month. And then I think for now I'm gonna do like a Liberty's Kids once a month. And then a video essay. I'm working on a video essay right now. I mean, I'm like editing one. And then I have a bunch of ideas started. I think I know what I'm gonna do for next month. So that was DC Universe Decisions. What do you think? Who do you think the different DC superheroes would vote for? Who are you gonna vote for? I wanna vote for Bernie Sanders. I did vote for Bernie Sanders. Bernie 2020. Look at your local and state legislatures and stuff too for your more progressive candidates. Those are important. And just help each other. And we should all, I mean, especially if the next 4 years are gonna be rough, just do what we can for each other and be nice to each other and try to help each other and, you know, be patient with each other and forgiving and kind. Except for to Nazis. Yeah, that's as good a note to end on any, but I also didn't film an outro or tell you to do the YouTube things. I'm sure you know how YouTube works and you don't need to be patronized to in such a manner, but you can subscribe to me if you want to see more videos. And if you like this and comment and stuff like that, it's good for the YouTube robot. It might send more people to watch it. And I don't know if it's going to want to send people to watch it because I use a lot of words the algorithm doesn't like. So please share unless you are a person who disagrees with me and wants to dox me. I'm kind of scared of that happening. But, yeah, bye. I had a dream my life would be so different from this hell I'm living.